Morning, guys. So just woke up and I'm gonna do a little work on the CSC TT250 here. So I forgot yesterday when I had the side panels and the seat off, I was gonna do an airbox mod by dremeling out some of the cover because it's just way too restrictive and there's really no reason for all that besides water protection. But honestly, unless you're in a damn monsoon, you're not gonna be sucking any water into the intake. So first things first, gonna take off these side panels, one bolt and then two clips on each side. And then the seat is held in place with one bolt on each side and like a little hook mechanism on the back, and it pops right off. So gonna go ahead and get the side panels and seat off so we can reveal the airbox right now. Hopefully it's not too noisy. I got my, oh God, it'll autofocus, my air conditioner running here. So I rode about 30 miles yesterday and the new exhaust sits higher and more inward than the stock exhaust, and it melted the ever-living shit out of the rear fender here. So not a big deal, I guess, because I'm was already looking at side mounting the license plate anyway and getting rid of this entire rear fender portion, just having the tail light, not only for looks, but also there's just no reason to have this on there because any dirt and debris that's spraying up on me will be blocked by this panel here anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and fabricate something custom to where I can bolt this vertically down here on probably off this bolt here for the chain guard. But here's a good look at the exhaust from underneath. Looks really good. It already started to blue from getting really hot, but I mean that's to be expected, and I kind of like that blued look anyway. Looks racer as fuck. But anyway, so that's on the agenda for today. After I do the airbox mod, I'm gonna go ahead and side mount the license plate and then take this piece off, use my Dremel to basically cut it down because I think this cover is like all one piece, so I'm gonna have to cut it here. And yeah. So just a little sidebar, boys, there is so many damn flies in my garage right now. This is I'm in Florida, Pensacola, so like flies are a really big problem here, and they are just like ransacking my garage right now. So I need to get some kind of like a repellent or some kind of like a little lamp that burns in here or something that kind of deters them from coming in here, because my God, they are just ransacking, and it's super annoying when you're working on your bike and they're like buzzing around your head and shit. They're grease monkeys. So once you get the side panels off here, the rear side panels, these are the front side panels, then you have two bolts here. I believe those are 10mm. I'll tell you in just a second, and that is what holds the seat in place. I was close. It's actually 8mm for the side bolts on the seat. So with the two side bolts removed, one on each side, just pull up on the seat. Kind of got to wiggle it a little bit and doing this one-handed, so there we go. And it's clipped on there with this little hook on that bad boy there. And you have a little storage compartment in there if you want to keep like maps in there or something. I guess you could put your registration there, but you got to make sure that you're actually able to access it when needed. I personally just put like my registration and paperwork and stuff like that in this little it's a tool pouch, actually. I wish it locked. That's kind of shitty. This might not be the best place actually for me to keep like my registration, because, well, anybody can just open it up and steal my shit. But if you ever want to remove this or do any modification to it, just two bolts right there. And there's a little tool pouch that comes in there. And like I said, I also put my registration in there, which actually I'll probably start keeping in there. That might be a better idea. This tool pouch, I haven't even really opened it yet, but once I do a comprehensive review of the bike, we'll break this open and go over what's included. Alright, so this is going to give you a good idea of the stock zip tie action that they do here. There's a zip tie right there, which they leave a lot of excess there, so I'm going to go ahead and trim that down, just make it look a little bit better. They also zip tie, what is this? I want to say the rear brake. Yep, that's the rear brake cable that's zip tied to the frame there. Actually, they zip tie everything pretty good. Everything's tucked up out of the way. There's another zip tie right there. So, yeah, it looks pretty good. Anyway, to get the airbox off, there's 4 Phillips head screws, and that's what holds this top cover for the airbox in place. Alright, so when you get those 4 screws out, there's also washers underneath that, so you want to be really careful when you get the screw out. They don't fall down into the frame and, you know, lose them. Honestly, they would probably just fall out to the floor, but... Alrighty, once you get those 4 Phillips head out, this cover here is loose. And to get it out, you kind of gotta wiggle it out of the frame, kind of finagle it a little bit. I am doing this one-handed, so that adds a nice little challenge to it. And there's your air filter, super clean. Obviously it should be, there's only like 75 miles on the bike. I don't know of any performance filters available for this bike, like K&N or anything like that, so you're kind of just stuck with the CSC paper filters. But yeah, it's your air filter, and you can kind of see your rear shock down in there too. Sweet. Alright, let's modify this thing. I've got my Dremel here with the cutting wheel on there. I'm going to go ahead and I still want there to be some water protection, but I do want better airflow, so I'm going to go ahead and cut probably this section out here to make it kind of like a little ram air scoop, and yeah, let's get it. Got the top cut there. The centerpiece is a little tricky to get at, but I might just take some, it's rubber, so maybe some scissors or even some like wire cutters and get in there. Might not even need the Dremel. Alright, we'll go ahead and get that little flap out of there, and then that is looking pretty good actually. That should channel a lot more airflow in there. I did want to keep a little cowl in there still, just to protect from rain and whatnot, because we do get a lot of random downpours here in Florida, but again, this is underneath your seat, so it's pretty unlikely that you're going to get water sucked up in your intake. Alright, looking good. You want to make sure you get any loose rubber pieces out, because you don't want that getting sucked up into your air intake, obviously, so kind of smooth it out a little bit, get any loose particles and pieces out. Alright, it's looking pretty good. So that airbox mod in combination with this exhaust that's been adapted for it from a CRF or a CR230F should let it breathe a whole lot better. Now we need to focus on the fueling of the bike, and for that we're going to need to take the carb off. This is going to be a separate video because it's going to be quite a process, but I have the Six Sigma jet kit here, which has all 4 jets, so the idle jet, the pilot jet, the main jet, all that good shit. And that's going to really help this bike out a lot, because it does get kind of choked out a little bit, I noticed. I also know that it is running lean because it does pop a little bit more than it should, and I feel like it gets a little bit warmer than it should, and it does sputter a little bit at full throttle, which you'll see in the riding vlogs. Before I do the carb jet kit, you'll see when I open it up, it does sputter a little bit. Not enough to where it's like really worrisome, but it is running lean, so we'll fix that up. Alright, got the license plate off. Pretty easy, 2 bolts. Yeah, it's just melted to shit. I'm gonna go ahead and throw out this CSC plastic license plate frame that came with it. About to order another one on Amazon right now. Yeah. Prettiest thing in the world, but I got this bitch off. My Dremel was dying, so I had to really give it some elbow grease in order to cut, and it kept dying on me. Yeah, it's not going to stay like that. Obviously, I'm going to sand everything down, smooth it out, and I might actually eventually take off all those too. This is just a reflector, and that's a bumper, so I might take all that shit off too. So unfortunately, I had to take the airbox cover off again because I noticed this big old rubber band sitting there, and I'm like, oh, that's a gasket. Sure enough, there's a ridge inside the cover here that requires that gasket to be in there. So just for your guys' situational awareness, there is a gasket that fits up in there. So let's try this again. All right, I'm gonna add a zip tie right here. It's a factory one right there, but this is kind of close to the muffler, and I just kind of want to tuck this up out of the way. And yeah, so I'm gonna add a zip tie right there. So in order to remove this piece, which I'm pretty sure you have to remove in order to remove the rear fender, you have a screw here. You've got two here, which is the actual clip for the seat. So yeah, and then this pops off. Don't be afraid to break it. It's got clips in there. You just pop up on it and it reveals 4 more Phillips head screws that hold the whole, this bad boy and this bad boy in place.